You ever think your marriage is boring in the best possible way? Like steady, predictable, nothing that makes the neighbors whisper? That was me. Until the day I went digging in the garage and found a secret buzzing in my husband's toolbox. It was a Saturday morning. Sunlight poured through the dusty window, catching the floating specks like glitter. Mark was out back mowing the lawn, humming off key like he always did. I was hunting for duct tape when I yanked open the drawer where he keeps every tool lined up neat as soldiers. Except tucked under a stack of rags, I spotted something that didn't belong. A cheap little burner phone. At first, I thought maybe one of the guys at the shop left it behind, but when I picked it up, the screen lit, and there it was. A string of unread messages. My pulse started pounding. My thumb hovered. My better judgment screamed, "Don't do it, Nina." But of course I did it. The first message read, "Meet me at the motel at 9. Don't forget the cash." My stomach dropped. Another one popped up right below it. "Don't let her find out." Her, me. I swear I couldn't breathe. My knees actually went weak like some cliché from a soap opera. All those nights he came home late. All those unexplained receipts I brushed off. Suddenly they came back like a tidal wave crashing over me. And right there, in the middle of Mark's neatly arranged toolbox, I realized my steady little marriage might not be so steady after all. Now, listen. I ain't saying I'm the queen of self-control, but apparently 96% of people who hear stories like this don't hit subscribe. That's like showing up to a baby shower, eating half the cupcakes, and then leaving without even signing the guest book. Don't be that person. Hit subscribe. It keeps the drama piping hot and the petty revenge flowing. Back to the garage mess. I shoved the phone back just as I heard the back door slam. Mark's footsteps echoed down the hall, boots heavy against the tile. My hands shook so bad I nearly dropped a wrench. "Babe, you in here?" His voice was casual, like nothing was wrong. I forced a laugh, praying he couldn't hear the quake in my throat. "Yeah, just looking for duct tape. You used it up again." He leaned in the doorway, sweat dripping down his temple, shirt sticking to his chest. He grinned. "Guess I go through more tape than I thought." And just like that, he was the same Mark I'd always known. My husband, my best friend, the man I swore I'd grow old with. Except now, every smile looked like a cover. Every laugh sounded like a lie. The rest of the day blurred. We grilled burgers. We watched a movie. He kissed me goodnight, and the whole time, my chest buzzed with the weight of that little phone tucked away in his toolbox. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering who was really lying next to me. Because once you find a secret like that, you can't unfind it. You can't go back to normal. You can only wait for the other shoe to drop. And I had no idea that by morning, I'd already be standing in the middle of the storm. They say suspicion is like a splinter. You can ignore it, cover it up with a Band-Aid, but it's still there, festering under the skin. That's exactly how I felt the next morning. I woke up to the smell of bacon. Mark was already at the stove, flipping strips with the same concentration he used on carburetors. The kitchen looked ordinary, sunlight through the blinds, coffee steaming in our chipped mugs, but my eyes kept darting to him, like I was searching for cracks. "Morning, sleepyhead," he said, sliding a plate toward me. His smile was easy, familiar. Too familiar. I forced one back. "Morning, you're up early." Garage was a mess. Figured I'd get a head start. He poured syrup on his pancakes, casual as ever, but every word felt loaded. My fork hovered, appetite gone. That damn phone burned in the back of my mind. Motel. Cash. Don't let her find out. So I tested him. Just little nudges, questions wrapped in curiosity. "Busy day at the shop yesterday?" I asked, eyes on my plate. "Yeah, non-stop. Johnson's truck needed a new transmission. Took forever." He didn't even flinch, didn't blink. I studied his face, every twitch, every pause, but he looked normal, like a man who'd just spent his Saturday knee-deep in Greece, not sneaking around with motel keys and burner phones. And that's what made it worse, because lies don't always come with nervous tics or guilty glances. Sometimes they come wrapped in pancakes and easy smiles. By the afternoon, I was unraveling. I watched him laugh with our daughter on the porch, teaching her how to oil her bike chain. His voice was warm, his hands steady, and yet, all I could see were those messages. At one point, he caught me staring. "What?" he chuckled. "Do I got grease on my face again?" I shook my head too quickly. "No, nothing. Just thinking." He reached for my hand, gave it a squeeze. His touch was the same as always, solid, grounding. But instead of comfort, it made me flinch inside. Because if he could hold my hand this tenderly while hiding something like that phone, what else was I blind to? That night, when the house went quiet, I couldn't take it anymore. I crept down the hall, heart hammering in my chest, and slipped the burner phone into my pocket. Back in our bedroom, I curled under the blanket with the glow lighting up my face. My thumb trembled as I scrolled through the messages again, this time slower, reading every word like it was a confession. "Same place tonight? Bring the rest of it tomorrow. Don't answer if she's around." My throat went dry. I tried to picture Mark writing them, his calloused fingers tapping out those words, his steady eyes glancing over his shoulder to make sure I wasn't watching. But another thought clawed its way in. What if it wasn't him? What if someone else was pulling him into something darker, something bigger than I could imagine? I didn't know which possibility scared me more, that he was betraying me or that he was in danger. The mattress dipped as he rolled closer in his sleep, arm draping over me. I froze, clutching the phone under the blanket like it was a live wire. And in the silence of that room, I whispered a question I didn't dare say out loud. "Who are you, really? Sleep? Forget it." My mind was wired like someone had poured black coffee straight into my veins. Every time I closed my eyes, those words lit up behind my eyelids. "Meet me at the motel. Don't let her find out." By Tuesday, I looked like a ghost. Patients at the hospital asked if I was sick. Co-workers offered me extra coffee. And when Mark texted mid-shift, just a casual, "Don't forget we need milk," my stomach clenched so hard I had to sit down. Milk. Like life was normal. Like nothing was crumbling. That night, after dinner, Mark crashed on the couch with the TV humming some rerun. His snores came easy, steady, like a man who had nothing to hide. Meanwhile, my heart felt like a trapped bird inside my ribcage. I slipped into the bedroom, pulled the burner phone from its hiding place, and turned it on. The screen lit up the dark, harsh, and accusing. My thumb hovered, but curiosity had already won. The messages were worse the second time around. "She's asking questions. Be careful. Meet behind the diner, same spot. Cash only, no excuses." Some messages were just single letters, M, L, R. What did they mean? Code? Names? I reread them until the letters swam in my vision. This wasn't the kind of thing you brushed off. It wasn't innocent. This wasn't a man hiding birthday gifts or some goofy surprise. This was organized, coordinated, sinister. And then, God help me, I clicked on one of the numbers and hit call. The ringing dragged out, each buzz syncing with the pound in my chest. 1, 2, 3. "Hello?" A woman's voice, smooth, confident, not flirty, not nervous, just sharp, like a knife wrapped in silk. My throat went dry. I froze, silent, clutching the phone like it had bitten me. "Hello?" she repeated, this time with an edge. I panicked, hung up so fast I nearly threw the phone across the bed. My hands shook, breath ragged. That voice, it wasn't casual. It wasn't "who is this?" It was "I know who I expected, and it wasn't you. Now listen. Secrets are like mold. You don't notice them until they've already eaten through the walls. And apparently, 94% of people listening don't subscribe. That's like finding a leak and just painting over it. Don't do that. Hit subscribe. It keeps the drama messy and the lights on. Back to the mold eating through my marriage. I stared at that phone like it might sprout teeth. Who was she? The her in the messages? The one I wasn't supposed to find out about? And why the hell was she so calm when she answered? I curled under the blanket, clutching the phone like a grenade. Mark shifted in the other room, the sound of his footsteps making me hold my breath. If he walked in right now, if he saw me with this phone, there'd be no going back. But he didn't. He stayed on the couch, snoring like life was ordinary. By the time I crawled into bed, I was wired. Mark rolled over in his sleep, arm draping across me like it had 1,000 times before. But instead of comfort, it felt like a chain, a weight, a reminder. The next morning, I plastered on a smile. Coffee, scrambled eggs, small talk about the weather. Every word cut me like glass. At one point, Mark tilted his head, watching me carefully. "You okay? You've been quiet lately." I forced a laugh so tight it scraped my throat. "Just tired. Long shifts." He nodded, not fully convinced, and went back to reading the paper. And that scared me even more. Because if I wasn't careful, he'd notice. If he noticed, the whole game would be over before I had the truth. So I swallowed my rage, swallowed my fear, and played the role of the steady wife. But inside, one question screamed louder than everything else. Who was that woman on the phone? By Wednesday night, I felt like a shaken soda can, ready to explode. I couldn't eat, couldn't focus, couldn't look at Mark without hearing that woman's voice echoing in my head. Smooth, confident, too confident. And there he was, standing at the sink like life was normal, rinsing off the dinner plates. The kitchen smelled of garlic from the pasta he made, steam fogging the window above the sink. His humming was soft, careless, like he didn't have a single worry in the world. Meanwhile, I had a phone in my hand that told a very different story. "Mark." My voice came out sharp, sharper than I meant, but maybe that was the point. He turned, still holding a plate, eyebrows raised. "Yeah?" I lifted the burner phone, holding it between us like a weapon. "Who is she?" The word sliced the air in two. For a second, the only sound was the water rushing from the tap. He froze, staring at the phone, and then slowly set the plate down in the sink. His shoulders stiffened. His eyes, those familiar eyes, darkened with something I couldn't read. Finally, he shut off the faucet. The sudden silence made my ears ring. "It's not what you think." His voice was calm, too calm. A bitter laugh slipped out of me. "Not what I think?" "Let's see. I find a burner phone hidden in your toolbox. I open it. Motel. Cash. Don't let her find out. Exactly how am I supposed to think, Mark? Enlighten me." He grabbed the dish towel, drying his hands slowly, deliberately, like he was buying time. "Nina, please. You have to trust me." "Trust you?" My voice cracked, tears stinging hot at the corners of my eyes. "You've been lying to me, sneaking around, hiding this damn thing in the garage like I wouldn't notice. Trust died the second I found it." His jaw clenched, that muscle twitching in his cheek. He took a step closer, lowering his voice. "I didn't want to drag you into this." "Drag me into what?" My laugh was bitter, sharp. "Your secret life? Your little motel rendezvous? You think I'm stupid? Because I promise you, Mark, I am not stupid." He flinched, like the word itself stung. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" My hands shook, but I kept my grip on the phone. like if I let go, the truth would vanish with it. He reached for me, but I pulled back. Don't touch me. Not until you tell me the truth. His face fell, eyes clouding with something I'd never seen before. Guilt, yes, but also fear. It's complicated. I took a step toward him, voice rising, then uncomplicate it. Right now, because I swear to God, if you don't, I will pack up our daughter and leave tonight. That hit him. His eyes flicked down, his shoulders sagging. He looked smaller somehow, like a man who'd finally run out of excuses. He pressed his lips together, shook his head once, and then whispered, "It's about Luke." I blinked. Luke? The name punched the air out of me. His twin brother. The ghost I'd met twice. Once at a Christmas party years ago. Once at their mother's funeral. And then never again. Luke, who disappeared. Who became a shadow in family stories. A whispered problem no one wanted to explain. What does Luke have to do with burner phones and motel rooms? My voice trembled, but I kept my eyes locked on him. Mark swallowed hard, looking 10 years older in that moment. His hands rubbed over his face, then dropped heavily to his sides. "I should have told you sooner," he said softly. But I couldn't. I thought I could handle it. I gripped the phone tighter, my chest pounding. Part of me wanted to scream, to demand answers until my throat bled. Another part of me just stood there frozen, because if this wasn't about an affair, what the hell was it about? One thing was clear. My husband wasn't the man I thought I knew, and whatever secret he was carrying, it wasn't just about me anymore, Luke. The name echoed in my head like a bell I hadn't heard in years. I leaned against the counter, phone still clutched in my hand. "Mark, stop dancing around this. What does your brother have to do with secret phones and motel rooms?" He dragged his hands down his face and exhaled, like the weight of years finally cracked through his chest. "He's in trouble, Nina. Real trouble." I scoffed, bitterness on my tongue. "Yeah, no kidding. And instead of telling me, your wife, you decided to play spy games behind my back?" Mark's eyes softened, but his voice stayed low. "I wasn't trying to betray you. I was trying to protect you." "Protect me?" My voice went sharp. "By lying? By making me think you were cheating? Do you have any idea what that's done to me?" He stepped forward, but I held up the phone like a wall between us. My hand trembled, but my voice didn't. "Mark," I said, steady now. "Either you start talking, or I walk out that door with our daughter tonight. No more secrets." His face crumpled. He pulled out a chair, sat heavily, elbows on his knees like the truth itself weighed too much to carry standing up. "It's Roxanne," he said finally. The name meant nothing to me. My eyebrows knit. "Who?" "Luke's ex. She's dangerous." He rubbed the back of his neck. "She's not just some bad breakup. She's tied up with people you don't cross. He left her years ago, but she's never let him go. She wants money, control, revenge. I don't even know anymore. But if she finds him..." He stopped, eyes dark with something close to fear. I sat down too, knees knocking against the table leg. "So what? You've been sneaking around, sending him cash, meeting him in secret, all to keep him hidden from this Roxanne?" He nodded. "He's been staying off the grid, motel to motel, using burner phones so she can't track him. I've been the go-between, getting him money, supplies, making sure she doesn't catch his trail." I pressed a hand to my chest, trying to steady the storm inside me. "And you thought lying to me was safer than just telling me the truth?" Mark's gaze flicked to mine, regret heavy in his eyes. "I thought if you didn't know, you couldn't be dragged into it. If Roxanne ever showed up, you could honestly say you knew nothing." Now let's pause right here. Ever realize how drama multiplies faster than laundry? You think you're just missing a sock? Then suddenly your whole wardrobe's gone. And hey, 95% of you haven't subscribed yet. Don't leave me naked out here. Hit that subscribe button. Keeps the twists fresh and the story rolling. Back to the mess. I sat there stunned, anger and heartbreak twisting in my gut. On one hand, he wasn't cheating. On the other, he'd still broken us. Because betrayal doesn't only live in motel rooms and lipstick stains. It lives in secrets, too. I whispered, I want to see him. Mark blinked. What? Luke, if you expect me to believe any of this, if you want me to even think about forgiving you, I need to look your brother in the eye. He hesitated, running a hand over his jaw. He won't like it. He doesn't trust anyone, especially not strangers. I leaned in, voice low but firm. I'm not a stranger. I'm your wife. And after everything you've put me through, I deserve to know the truth. Mark stared at me, silence stretching between us. Finally, he nodded, slow and heavy. Okay, tomorrow night. But Nina, his voice cracked. Once you see him, there's no going back. The next night, Mark drove us 30 minutes out of town to a rundown motel with a flickering neon sign that buzzed like an angry wasp. My stomach churned the whole way. Every mile felt like I was getting pulled deeper into a story I didn't ask to be part of. When we parked, he killed the engine and sat there, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. Before we go in, he said quietly, you need to know. Luke's not the guy you remember. He's been through hell. Don't expect him to be normal. Normal? I almost laughed, as if anything about this was normal. We walked up the narrow staircase to the second floor. Mark knocked twice on the faded door. For a long, tense moment, nothing happened. Then the lock clicked, and the door cracked open. And there he was. Luke. Same face as Mark. Same jawline, same tired eyes, but worn thinner, sharper, like life had scraped him down to the bone. His hair was longer, unkempt. His movements were jittery, like every sound outside was a gunshot. He looked at me, then at Mark. You brought her? His voice was hoarse, suspicious. Mark shifted. She needed to know. Luke stepped back reluctantly, letting us inside. The room smelled of stale smoke and cheap disinfectant. A duffel bag sat half-packed on the bed, cash peeking from the side pocket. I crossed my arms, heart pounding. So you're the reason my husband's been sneaking around? The reason I thought my marriage was... I bit down before the word over slipped out. Luke's jaw tightened. I didn't ask him to lie to you. No, I shot back, but you sure didn't stop him either. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. You don't get it. Roxanne, she's not just an ex. She's dangerous. She's got people. If she finds me, I'm dead. And anyone near me? Fair game. I swallowed hard, the reality settling like lead. So Mark's been your middleman. Motel rooms, cash, secrets, all to keep you safe from her. Luke nodded. And to keep you safe from knowing. I turned to Mark, voice shaking. You let me drown in suspicion, thinking you were cheating, when all this time it was this. Mark's shoulders slumped, his voice rough. I thought protecting you meant keeping you out of it. I was wrong. Silence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Luke leaned against the wall, eyes darting to the window every few seconds. Mark stared at the floor. And me? I stood in the middle of it all, torn between relief and fury. Because yes, Mark wasn't cheating, but secrets, even noble ones, cut deep. Finally, I broke the silence. So what now? You keep running forever? Hiding in motels until she gets bored? Luke's laugh was bitter, humorless. She's not the type to get bored. Before I could answer, headlights swept across the thin motel curtains. A car pulled into the lot, slow and deliberate. Luke stiffened, eyes locked on the window. "Shit," he muttered. Mark moved to the window, pulling the curtain just enough to peek. His face went pale. A woman stepped out of the car. Dark hair, leather jacket, heels clicking against the pavement like a countdown. Luke's voice dropped to a whisper. "That's her. Roxanne." And just like that, the storm I thought we'd contained blew the door wide open. The knock on the door was soft, almost polite, but the tension in that motel room could have shattered glass. Luke froze, back pressed to the wall, eyes wild. Mark's fists clenched at his sides. And me? My heart was a drum in my throat. "Luke," a woman's voice called, smooth, confident, the same voice I'd heard on the phone. "Open up. Let's talk like adults." "Roxanne." Mark shook his head, whispering, "Don't move." He looked at me, pleading in his eyes. "Stay behind me." The door rattled with another knock, harder this time. "I know you're in there. Don't make me break the lock." Luke's voice cracked. "She found me. She always finds me." I grabbed his arm. "Call the police." But Luke shook his head violently. "You don't get it. She has people. By the time cops show up..." The doorknob twisted. That was it. Mark lunged forward, locking the deadbolt and planting himself against the door like a barricade. "Leave!" he shouted. "You're not welcome here." Roxanne laughed, low and cold. "Oh, Mark. Playing the hero again? Cute. Step aside before this gets ugly." "Ugly?" "It was already ugly," Mark shouted back, voice ragged. "If you want Luke, you'll have to go through me." And in that moment, for the first time, I saw the truth laid bare. My husband wasn't sneaking around to betray me. He was standing in the fire to protect his brother, even if it meant letting me think the worst. The hallway outside erupted in noise, boots pounding, voices shouting. Red and blue lights flashed through the thin curtains. "Police! Step away from the door!" Roxanne cursed, heels clicking as she backed off. The shouts grew louder. The door shook as someone pounded. This time, not her. Mark stepped back, hands raised. Luke trembled, relief and fear warring on his face. When the cops stormed in, it was chaos. Commands shouted, Roxanne pressed against the hood of a cruiser, wrists cuffed, fury etched across her face. She didn't fight. She didn't beg. She just glared, eyes burning holes through the walls as if daring us to celebrate too soon. Hours later, the motel was quiet again. Luke slumped on the bed, exhausted. Mark leaned against the wall, eyes bloodshot but steady. And me? I sat in the corner, phone in hand, replaying everything in my head. The lies, the secrecy, the nights I cried myself to sleep thinking I wasn't enough. I looked at Mark. "You should have told me." My voice was soft, but it carried the weight of everything. His shoulders sagged. "I know." "You broke us," I whispered. He stepped closer, kneeling in front of me, eyes wet. "I thought I was protecting you. But I see now, keeping you in the dark hurt worse than the truth ever could." I searched his face, the man I loved, the man I doubted, the man who risked everything for his brother. And I believed him. But forgiveness? That would take time. I stood, slipped the phone into his hand. "No more secrets, Mark. If you want us to survive this, you trust me, from here on out." He nodded, voice breaking. "You have my word." As we left that motel, sirens fading behind us, I realized something. Betrayal doesn't always come in the form of lipstick stains or motel receipts. Sometimes it comes dressed as protection. And sometimes the people we love wound us most by trying to keep us safe. So let me ask you, what would you have done if you found that phone? Would you have trusted the silence, or torn the secret wide open like I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if this story hit you like it hit me, don't forget to subscribe. More stories, More twists, and more lessons you didn't see coming.